September 20th, 1942, Naval Air Station, North Island, San Diego, California. Lieutenant Commander Eddie Sanders gripped the control stick of an aircraft that shouldn't exist in American hands. Sweat coated his palms despite the cool Pacific breeze. The cockpit S gauges bore Japanese script controls, felt alien smells of oil and foreign materials lingered. Armed guards ringed the hangar, their orders absolute since the plane arrived 3 weeks earlier. This was the most valuable aircraft in the world, a captured Mitsubishi. A6M2 Zero Sanders was about to fly it. He eased off the brakes. The Zero rolled forward engine, humming smoothly. In minutes, this flight would reveal weaknesses that reshaped American air tactics and crippled Japan's aerial dominance. Secrets within this machine would fuel a fighter that destroyed over 5,000 enemy planes, shifting the Pacific War. The story began 5 months earlier on a fog-shrouded Aleutian Island where a young pilot's mistake altered history. June 4, 1942, Akutan Island, Aleutians. As American dive bombers sank 4 Japanese carriers at Midway 300 miles east, a smaller drama unfolded. Flight Petty Officer Tadayoshi Koga, 19 years old, launched his Zero from the carrier Ryujo for a diversionary strike on Dutch Harbor. With wingmen Chief Petty Officer Makoto Endo and Petty Officer Tsugo Shikada. He attacked with devastating effect, downing a PBY Catalina patrol bomber and strafing survivors. The Zero outclassed American aircraft, faster climbing, better, turning tighter. Its lightweight frame and 950 horsepower Nakajima Sakai engine made it a terror in the skies. Then a single bullet, likely a .50 caliber round from Dutch Harbor, pierced Koga's oil return line. Oil sprayed the engine's lifeblood, draining. Koga had 15 minutes before it seized. He radioed his commander and turned to Akutan, 25 miles east, a designated emergency landing site. A submarine waited offshore to rescue downed pilots. Koga spotted a grassy field half a mile from Broad Bay, perfect for a wheels-down landing. He lowered his gear. Shikada, circling above, saw water gleaming through the grass on his second pass. It was a bog. He tried to radio, but Koga was committed. The Zero AS wheels hit at 80 mph. The landing seemed clean. Then the gear sank into mud. The fighter flipped violently, slamming upside down. The impact snapped Koga's neck, killing him instantly. His body hung in the cockpit seat belt, tight pistol and samurai sword at his waist, medical tape wrapping his torso from prior injuries. His wingmen circled, unsure if he survived. Japanese orders demanded destroying downed Zeros to prevent capture. The plane looked intact. They couldn't heat fire, hoping Koga lived fuel low. They returned to Ryujo. The submarine searched, but USS Williamson drove it away. Koga's Zero sat alone, 5,000 miles from Japan, holding secrets of the Empire's deadliest fighter. For 5 weeks, the Zero lay hidden. Akutan's perpetual fog and remote location shielded it from patrols. Japan, reeling from Midway, didn't search. On July 10, 1942, Lieutenant William Thies, PBY Catalina, got lost in fog. Machinist mate Albert Knack glanced down through a cloud break, spotting red wing circles. The Zero looked nearly perfect. Thies circled, noting the position, and reported to Dutch Harbor. A recovery team arrived, finding a prize beyond dreams. The bog had cushioned the crash, preserving the airframe. Only the windscreen was crushed, propeller tips bent, gear, broken wingtips, damaged. They buried Koga with honors on a hillside, noting his taped torso, and took his pistol and sword for intelligence. Extracting the plane took 3 weeks. Workers built a log road, winching the fighter to Broad Bay for barge loading. In August, it sailed to Seattle, then to San Diego, North Island, under tight security. Mid-August 1942. The Zero arrived. Navy aviation circles buzzed with excitement. Since Pearl Harbor, the Zero had terrorized American pilots outmaneuvering F-4F Wildcats in every engagement. Now engineers and pilots could study it. Captain William Leonard called it a treasure unlocking secrets at a desperate time. Marine ace Kenneth Walsh later said, "Knowing the Zero's weaknesses saved his life." Restoration began immediately. Engineers worked round the clock repairing damage and analyzing the design. The Zero weighed 5,300 to 6,165 pounds, 2,000 pounds lighter than the F-4F Wildcat. It lacked pilot armor and self-sealing fuel tanks prioritizing speed and agility. Its engine used a float carburetor. The Zero-AS design reflected a philosophy alien to American engineers, where U.S. fighters like the Wildcat prioritized ruggedness and pilot protection, accepting weight penalties. The Zero sacrificed safety for performance. Its airframe used minimal material just enough for anticipated loads with no margin for combat damage. The 1,900-mile range let it escort bombers deep into enemy territory or patrol vast oceans. Its climb rate reached 2,000 feet faster than a Wildcat hit 15,000. The cockpit EUS simple gauges minimized pilot distraction. Inspection panels opened with a finger, ES push. The wings folded manually for carrier storage, no hydraulics needed. This efficiency awed the restoration team, but also hinted at vulnerabilities. By September 20th, 4 days after arrival, the Zero was flight ready. The team replaced the windscreen, straightened the stabilizer, rebuilt the gear, reused the dressed propeller, repainted with American blue circle and white star insignia. It looked like a hybrid Sanders. A seasoned test pilot memorized Japanese gauges, knowing the risks of hidden damage. He taxied out, watched by engineers, intelligence officers, and Navy brass. The Zero lifted off after a short roll, climbing steeply. Sanders tested its limits for an hour. Above 200 knots, ailerons stiffened, needing heavy force to roll, especially right. At low speeds, it turned inside any American plane. In -G dives, the engine cut out. The float. Carburetor failed under sustained negative acceleration, stopping fuel. Flow for seconds. American fighters with pressure carburetors had no such issue. Sanders wrote, "Dive steeply with -G to stall the Zero-S engine, then roll hard right where it can, T follow." Over 24 flights in 25 days, Sanders pitted the Zero against F-4F Wildcats. Its speed matched the Wildcat AS, but its range and climb rate outclassed it. In low speed, turns it completed a circle before a Wildcat finished 3/4. Its light frame was fragile. Hits that dented American planes destroyed it. Sanders' Ruick reports spread through the fleet. Pilots learned to avoid slow-turning fights, use high-speed dives, roll right to escape. The Zero-S invincibility faded. It was a machine with exploitable flaws. The psychological impact was profound. For 8 months, American pilots had faced a seemingly unbeatable foe. The official tactic was to flee from Zeros, a humiliating order. Now pilots had a plan. Morale surged. The Zero-S greatest impact was not tactics but aircraft design. The Grumman F6F Hellcat under development became the weapon to exploit these weaknesses. In January 1942, Leroy Grumman reviewed XF6F plans to replace the outmatched Wildcat. Pacific reports showed Zeros dominating in speed climb, and Turn's Grumman S team, led by Jake Swerble and Bill Schwendler, designed a larger Wildcat, but Grumman feared it was titwak enough. On April 22, 1942, Lieutenant Commander Edward O. Hare, fresh from defending Lexington against Japanese bombers, briefed Grumman. He stressed more power, better, climb improved, visibility. His Medal of Honor, earned defending Lexington, gave his words weight. He told President Roosevelt a new fighter needed to go upstairs faster. The Bureau of Aeronautics ordered the XF-CZF-3, fitted with a 2,000-horsepower Pratt Whitney R2800 engine up from 1,700 horsepower before Koga's crash. This decision predated the Zero-S capture but set the Hellcat-S course. When the Zero arrived in San Diego, its data refined the F6F. Grumman learned it weighed half the Hellcat-S 12,000 pounds to match its agility without sacrificing armor or self-sealing tanks. Grumman relied on the R2800S power. Hydraulic-boosted metal ailerons maintained control at high speeds, unlike the Zero-weight-S fabric surfaces that ballooned under pressure. The pressure carburetor ensured engine reliability in negative G650 caliber machine guns outgunned the Zero-S mixed armament. The high cockpit gave clear visibility crucial for tactics like the thatch weave, where wingmen covered each other. The F6F absorbed damage. The Zero couldn't TTT. Its structure handled 9G positive and 6G negative acceleration far beyond the Zero-S limits. The first XF6F1 with a 1,700 horsepower engine flew June 26, 1942, before the Zero-S discovery. The XF6F3 with the R2800 flew July 30, 1942, after the Zero was found but before Sanders' tests production. Began October 3, 1942, weeks after Sanders' flights allowing Zero data to shape final tweaks. The Hellcat was an EQTT designed from the Zero but refined with its insights, Grumman-S philosophy, balanced performance and protection. Unlike Japan, S all-in bet on agility. The F6F-S robust frame took hits that shattered Zeros. Its armor and bulletproof windscreen saved pilots. Self-sealing tanks prevented fires. Hellcats reached squadrons in early 1943. Fighting Squadron 9 embarked on Carrier Essex in February. Pilots loved its power speed and ease. Designed for new aviators, it was stable, forgiving, ideal for carrier landings. Grumman-S Bethpage factory produced WW2 Hellcats in 37 months, peaking at 644 monthly in 1944, an unmatched feat. Each plane needed 2,000 parts from hundreds of subcontractors. Jake Swirbel, EWS production genius, coordinated this industrial symphony. Many workers were novices, yet built the war's most successful carrier fighter. On August 31, 1943, Hellcats debuted over Marcus Island, dominating Japanese defenses. November 23, 1943. Tarawa Hellcats from Essex faced 30 Zeros, downing them all for one loss. Pilots used high-speed dives hard, right rolls, and thatch weave tactics exploiting Zero weaknesses. The battle validated the F6F ES design and Sanders' insights. Japanese commanders saw their air superiority crumble. June 19, 1944. Philippine Sea, the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot saw Hellcats from 15 carriers face Japan's largest carrier force since Midway. Of 370 Japanese planes launched, 240 fell mostly to Hellcats. American losses were 23 to 30 planes. Many pilots rescued Japan. As carrier air groups were annihilated, veteran pilots lost aircraft gone. The F6F's endurance let it patrol longer. Its climb rate intercepted strikes. Its firepower and protection won head-on fights. Its ease let green pilots excel. Japan's training withered pilots entering combat with a third of American flight hours. By 1945, Hellcats claimed 52-3 kills, 19-1 overall, 13-1 against Zeros. The F6F adapted to multiple roles. F6F-3N and F6F-5N night fighters carried radar-downing Japanese bombers in darkness. F6F-3P and F6F-5P reconnaissance variants swapped guns for cameras penetrating deep into enemy territory. Later models carried 2,000-pound bombs and rockets supporting ground troops with precision. The Hellcat produced 305 to 307 Navy aces. Commander David McCampbell scored all 34 kills in F6Fs. Late war, Japanese pilots avoided combat diving away or hiding in clouds, a sign of Zero fatigue. American carriers operated with near impunity. The Akutan Zero was destroyed. February 1945, when an SB-2C Helldiver crashed into it during taxing, fragments survive in museums. Its legacy lived in every Hellcat victory. Koga's crash unwittingly aided America. S triumph. Sanders, flights revealed weaknesses that shaped tactics and refined the F6F pilots knew how to win because the WWII secrets were exposed. The 19-to-1 ratio reflected superior design tactics, training, and intelligence. A single plane changed history, proving knowledge could turn the tide. At post-war reunions, Hellcat pilots shared stories of the WWII's secrets. They described using Sanders' dive and roll tactic, knowing the Zero was fragile gave them confidence. The F6F was the tool, the Akutan Zero the knowledge. Together they delivered victory. The Hellcat phased out by 1954, replaced by jets. About 70 survive in museums, 7 fly at air shows. Their roar evokes an era of American dominance. Sanders lived to see the F6F's success retiring after the war. He died in the 1970s a quiet hero whose test helped win the Pacific. The Akutan Zero showed that understanding an enemy's weaknesses can outweigh raw power, a lesson modern militaries still heed.